Hello. So it's that time of year again, the weather's starting to improve and people are starting to venture outside. And as a spray paint artist, that's getting me thinking about this whole next season of painting on the street. If you've never painted on the street before, I highly recommend you give it a go at least once. Everyone's trying to chase the online social media dream and I'm no exception to that. But there is so much merit in going out there into the real world and realizing that you don't actually need all of that online presence to share your love for your art and make some money from your art. So today I'm going to go through everything I packed for the most simple setup when painting on the street. This is just the essentials and you can build on this how you like, but I'm going for a setup here that is easy to travel with and easy to assemble and take down. So let's kick things right off with your paint. I'm not going to go through every single color, and to be honest, that's going to be each to their own, but I would recommend taking 1, 2, maximum 3 shades of each color. This not only allows you to travel lighter, but it also allows you time to plan beforehand. What are those designs that I'm going to make on the day? What are the actual colors I definitely need? When I first started painting in public, I brought every single color I had and I just literally didn't use like 50% of them. Next, you're going to need some sort of small toolbox or carry case like this one. This is going to be for carrying all of your smaller creation tools like palette knives, sponges, caps, brushes, that sort of thing. I went for this style because it has that 2-tier system with slightly bulkier items going in the bottom, and then the top has these separated compartments for my brushes and caps. It doesn't really matter which design you go for, but just somewhere to put all of your smaller little bits, because I guarantee if you haven't got somewhere for them to go, they're going to get lost. Some other type of smaller storage box, so you've got the large one which you would have your paint in, but this is for not only traveling with those smaller items, but this also acts as what I like to call a dump box. When you're working on the street, you're typically painting very fast and you're going to have lots of dirty items like your planet stencils like bowls, or maybe your other tools like scrapers. When you're done with stuff that's got a bit of paint on and it's sticky, you just want a dump box for it to go in. That way you're not spending the day putting little bits of sticky paint all around you, which you're eventually going to put your hands, feet, shoes, knees, whatever into. It's just a much cleaner way to work. Now, speaking of tools, we're going to go through a quick fire round of all the things I'm going to put in this box. A lot of these tools are obviously for creation of spray paint art, and I've talked about those a lot in other videos, but there may be a few things in here you haven't considered. So of course we have our bowls, cups and lids, etc. for planet stencils, small, medium and large scrapers. I find a power bank isn't quite enough. You need something a bit more substantial, because if your electronics like your phone, or maybe you've got a speaker or something like that, if any of that goes dead out on the street, you're really going to struggle to find power because you can't really leave your stand. All of your different types of tapes, obviously masking tape, you're going to be using that to stick your boards down, so that's going to be for your artistic creation, but I also bring duct tape. This is an essential and you'll find out why in a minute. Next, we have a tripod. If you're going to be filming or live streaming yourself while you're on the street, it's good to have something to place your camera or your phone. I prefer these small collapsible ones because they're much easier to travel with and just so much less cumbersome when you're out and about. Portable speaker. I like to play music when I paint, and sometimes I even plug a little microphone into this and it acts like a megaphone. So when I'm talking, when I'm painting, people can hear me. Just note that if you are playing music while you're painting on the street, make sure that it's not overly loud and it's not super offensive music or anything like that. Pissing people off with your music is a surefire way to get booted off your spot, so bear that in mind. Bin bags or trash bags, depending on where you're from. Trust me when I say that when you're painting on the street, you are going to make a lot of mess, and having decent waste management will just make your life so much easier. Also, at the end of the day, if all of your rubbish is in one bag, you can just find a public bin, stuff it all in that, job's done for the day. Some sort of bum bag or fanny pack, again, depending on where you're from. I use this can belt because not only do I carry all my clear coat in here, but also it has a little zip pocket in the front, which is where I keep my cash. Speaking of cash, it's also worth taking a float with you. And if you don't know what a float is, it's basically change for people that pay you in cash. Sun cream, trust me, just take it. Some paper towel or kitchen roll. Not only is this for cleaning up messes and spills, but we also know, if you've watched my other videos, that we can make art with this. So that's coming along. Of course, we're going to be taking our PPE, so that's gloves and a mask. And I also like to bring these little disposable masks. As part of my performance, I often invite people from the crowd to come and paint their first painting ever with me. It's absolutely awesome, and you should build it into your act. It's a game changer. And finally, any chargers you need for the electrical items you're bringing with you, they go in the box. Let me know if there's any other items that you would put in your dump box. Also, I'd recommend getting a box with a lid because it makes it so much easier to travel with. So the next essential I always bring is a dry bag. Dry bags are good for all of your paper items that you're going to take with you. If you ever suddenly get hit by rain, your paper items are the things that are going to get destroyed first. Literally the second a bit of rain touches it, game over. So in here, I'm putting things like the poster board that I'm going to paint on. A little tip for the poster board, just take 2 sizes, small and large. It makes things easier when it comes to the designs you're going to use and with your pricing. Of course, if your chosen choice of texturing material is magazine paper. That needs to go in the dry bag. I also put any stencils I'm going to use in the dry bag, and then you just zip it up, and then you know that anything that needs immediate protection from the rain is nice and safe. Another tip I have for you guys is be organized with your dry bag. What I mean by that is anything you need out of the dry bag, like poster board or stencil kits or a bit of magazine paper, take them out one at a time. Keeping organized with your dry bag means that you can just shut it up if it starts to rain. So that's pretty much all the gear you're going to need. Now we're going to talk about one of the most important parts is your environment. So what you're going to be painting on and what's going to be around you. I'm going to start off with 2 ground sheets. Now, if you haven't guessed already, you're going to be painting on the floor. The ground sheet is there for 2 reasons. One, to protect the pavement. Again, if you start accidentally spray painting all of the pavement around you, you're going to get booted off your spot. And secondly, it really does sort of set the stage. Having a ground sheet around you dictates to the audience and the people watching your sort of working area. And it also gives you a place to display your art so it pops off the ground. For my ground sheet, I use this tarpaulin style material. It's pretty durable and it folds away quite easily. When you put down your ground sheet, you want to duct tape it to the floor at the edges because trust me, the wind is not your friend. So why do you need 2 of them? One of them, of course, is going on the ground underneath you, but the other one is going to be spare in case of, once again, emergency rain conditions. Your second sheet needs to be much bigger than the one actually on the ground. The reason for that is if it suddenly starts raining really heavily, you want to be able to unfold this really quickly and throw it over the entirety of your setup, weigh it down to the edges, and then you can find yourself a nice cozy shop doorway to stand in until the rain stops. It's the easiest way to protect all your gear without having to pack anything away. So make sure you take 2 of these. Before we continue, I just want to say a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video, me. I've launched an online community for spray paint artists that want to take their artwork to the next level. It's called the Canvas Vandals, and it has all of my best tips and knowledge that I can share with you guys about becoming a full-time artist. I pride myself on taking somebody that does not consider themselves artistic at any point in their entire life and taking them through a really methodic blueprint system to get them to paint like a pro with spray paint. So if you're a complete beginner or a novice that wants to brush up their skills, or you're an existing artist and you want to take your business to the next level, Canvas Vandals can be found in the link in the description below. Okay, back to the video. Because you're going to be working on the ground, this next bit of kit is absolutely essential. Do not leave without this. And that is some decent quality knee pads. They don't have to be really expensive, but the cushioning needs to be really good on the inside and they need to be nice and tough and durable on the outside. Think about it. You're going to be on your knees in a position like this, painting for several hours of the day. If you don't have something protecting your knees, it is going to suck and you're going to want to go home within an hour of being there. There are a couple more things that you can do for comfort. Firstly, if you've got the space, you could bring like a fold out camping chair to sit on when you're not painting. And for when you are painting, it might be wise just to bring a cushion with you that can go underneath this part of your leg. So where your ankles bend like this, just having a cushion under here can really add a bit of extra support while you're in this position for a long period of time. If you've got all this to contend with, why am I recommending painting on the floor? Well, there's 2 reasons. Firstly, you don't have to bring a table. Now, even if you have a nice fold down table, they can be a bit cumbersome to carry around and you're definitely going to be traveling heavier. Secondly, there's just this weird thing about when you're painting on the floor versus on a table. I think the crowd feel a lot more engaged with you for some reason. Partly because they're standing over you, so they can see down onto what you're creating much simpler. And also, painting on the actual street really encompasses the idea of it being street art. And I find that people coming to visit me while I'm painting on the street like this, they just seem to be just that little bit more engaged and they just think it's like a little bit cooler in a way. Really adds to the effect. However, if you try it and you prefer painting on a table, you're just gonna have to take a table with you. But if you're painting on the floor, just take the freaking knee pads. Just do it, okay? Next thing to build that environment is a painting board. Now, if you're painting down on the floor, you're gonna have a really hard surface to start on, which is great, but it can be a bit uneven because it's gonna be made out of bricks or blocks or cobbles or something like that. Having a board like this that you can start with on top of your ground sheet just gives you a nice, flat, solid surface to get started with. The next thing that's worth taking are some cardboard panels like this. If you're painting just on top of your painting board, a few things are gonna happen. Firstly, as you can clearly see, it's gonna become a mess. And while you're painting, it's going to become a sticky, wet mess. If it gets too built up, it's going to be really hard to work on and your artwork is going to start flat out sticking to this board. So if you start with a cardboard sheet, put your medium on top of that sheet and use your masking tape to stick it down. When you finish your painting at the end and the crowd goes wild, you'll have this board that you can just easily lift off and put out right in front of you. With a wet painting now in front of you and some space around it, that allows you to get some weights cans, rocks, whatever you've got, put them on the edges, and that way it's not going to blow away. When your painting's a bit drier, you could take it off, or just when it sells straight away, it's probably going to sell straight away, you can just take it off. There you go. Thank you, sir or madam. Take off the board and reuse it for another piece. That's why it's worth taking a few of these. Next thing that's worth taking with you is a little marketing material. I've just got this panel here, which I used my laser cutter to etch out a QR code. And I've also got just some really cheap little business cards, just with my name on the front and the same QR code on the back. And I also take a few stickers with me, which I give to people that buy some of my work. I keep to this QR code system because it leads people very quickly to the digital side of Tom Welly Wells, which is exactly where I want them to live after they've seen me for the first time on the street. And finally, I'm gonna show you something that's even new for me this season. One of the biggest challenges when working on the street is getting your gear from your transport, aka your car, to your spot. Now before, I've always parked my truck as close as I possibly can, had a really big backpack where I put as much stuff in as I can, and then I would basically have my paint cans and then my boards kind of on top of each other and my dump box, and I would literally Incredible Hulk that all the way to my spot. When you're working on your own, you don't really have a choice. You have to just do what you can. But I'm really excited this year because I've got this new bit of kit that I think would really help. It is this bad boy. This is what is called a festival trolley. As you can see, it folds out and creates basically a huge sort of area where you can put loads of kit, and it has an extendable handle so that you can wheel it around. Like I said, this is completely new for me, so I can't wait to load this up tomorrow and show you guys if it works or not. See you tomorrow.
The next day.
So we've arrived in the city that I'm going to be painting today. I've arrived nice and early so I can get a parking space as close to the spot I want to paint as possible. Now all I've got to do is load up this cart of mine and get to my spot. I've got to say that was a lot quicker than I thought, and that's everything. That is all my gear in this little cart right here. Now let's see if it will get me to my spot. It's actually surprisingly easy to pull uphill as well. It's just super smooth. Well, we've got some of these bad boys coming up. How will she navigate? Yep, nailed it. So this is the spot I wanted, but I think somebody might already be here, so we're going to respect that and find somewhere else. So I found this other spot that seems like right in the middle, and apparently all this area is private land, and this is where the public area still is. So I think it would be this also seems like a road, so it would be a bit obnoxious to set up in the middle. So this is a nice space right here. We'll give this a try. And that is literally it. A really simple setup that will get you painting on the street tomorrow. Back to you in the studio, Tom. I hope this video has been useful for your adventures out on the streets this year. For those of you that have never tried painting on the street before, I highly recommend you do it. I understand there might be a lot of questions about the nuances and the performance and the act of actually creating spray paint art on the street, and maybe we can cover those in another video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give the subscribe button a little tickle and just like the video on the way out. If you still haven't got your artistic year off to the right start, I have a video right here where I show all of my planning for 2025 and how I make my business flourish as a full-time artist. I'll see you guys out on the street.